Good Thursday afternoon to you. This Vermont Utility Outlook through Velco is valid the rest of today, Thursday through Wednesday, February the 3rd. And we're looking at the NORMS webcam. You can see Lincoln Peak over here, and you can see a lot of snowmelt taking place. Well, our main utility concern for the next several days is really going to be out next Wednesday with the potential for some wind-driven rain. We could see some gradient wind gusts and some downsloping winds along the western slopes of the Green Mountains. Much too far away to get detailed on that, but there are some indications for that. The best project weather the rest of today, possibly on Saturday, and then as well on Sunday. Each will be squeezed in, surrounded by little flare-ups of minor precipitation. And we're looking at milder conditions to push in once again for Sunday as well as Monday, and especially on Wednesday next week, with some early sugaring sap runs potentially. So we'll be watching that as well. We're losing our snow covers, you can see here, and this is looking at the Mad River Valley, and you can see Mad River Glen in this particular area here. We have some altocumulus clouds kind of rolling across the region, but that's about it as the weather system remains to our west. Taking a look at that. Temperatures this morning basically in the 20s, and now we're looking at temperatures making a nice little rise into the 30s, and a little bit of precipitation off to the west. And looking at the latest in terms of what the observations are showing, you can see there has been a little bit of snow, kind of mixed with rain here, kind of this little narrow band. It does look like this is going to wash out as it tries to move toward our region, and we're holding out with generally drier weather, influenced by an area of higher pressure that's off the coast here. Latest HRRR model shows some of the details here, where our snow to the west begins to dissipate out, and not a whole lot else going on here as we get into the night tonight. So this is our weather system off to the west of us, and 998 millibar area of low pressure near the Ottawa Valley will then try to sort of get captured and get pulled in by this departing jet stream energy that's offshore. At one point, it was going to be interesting whether these two different jet streams could phase together and produce a big storm. You see how close a call it is, but it's not going to happen. We're just going to see some snow shower activity. Anything in these dashed blue lines indicates cold enough to snow. Anything in the red, warm enough for rain. So we'll keep a close eye on that as we go over through time here. And this one's one of the more trickier forecasts, and I'll show you why. We get really right on the line between rain and snow as kind of the setup here. This is a little ridging of higher pressure that's going to be with us, effect basically on Saturday morning as the last of the departing flurries kind of work off the region, out of the region. And what ends up happening is we get this little bit of a ridging, and then we have another storm knocking on the door very, very quickly. This is valid about 7 o'clock on Saturday evening, and this moves on through with that warm frontal boundary. Warm air trying to overrun colder air. Important to note here, because once it does, you see how it warms up. You see those dashed red lines? Those are thickness values supporting rain. And even though we're not looking at any issues for precipitation, we're looking at a dry day, at least in Vermont. But right around the corner, some lifting mechanisms, some jet stream energy and vorticity is going to start to work in. And then it sets up this stage. Cold to the north, warm to the south. We call this the baroclinic zone. And weak areas of low pressure will kind of travel along a frontal boundary and really roughly dividing about where it snows versus where it rains. It looks like this is going to be affecting Vermont, but you can see the play-by-play here, again using the European model. Best chance for precipitation will be along about Monday. This is Monday afternoon, actually valid 7 o'clock in the evening on Monday. You can see that 6-hour total rainfall, though, in that green, a little healthier than what we've been seeing. We've been really seeing very minutia in terms of precipitation. This is probably our next big shot. However, there's a much bigger shot coming, and you can see temperatures cool off a little bit. We get a little bit of flurry activity along about Tuesday morning, and then kind of a break in between, a little bit of a lull, and then here comes a warm front. Everything pushes off. This is a much more well-developed system, 990 millibars off to the west. It's going to pull a slug of fairly significant Gulf of Mexico moisture, more than likely thunderstorm activity up and down some parts east of the Mississippi Valley and the Tennessee-Ohio Valley. And as this develops and progresses, it looks like we're looking at wind gusts greater than thresholds for our neck of the woods here, with some tropical-like rain beginning to work in. So all of this kind of culminates for a fairly significant storm that will be moving in along about Wednesday. This is valid 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening. And then, boom, we get cold front. This will usher in and end the wind event, of course. And once that front passes, no real issues. But colder weather will start to work in. And you notice how deep and how cold that colder area is down in the southern part of the United States. That's going to be wrapping in. And it's probably set the stage for what could be better than a week of relatively cold air across our region, and also just Alberta Clipper systems. So any movement on these ridges where it's warm here off to the west could change the scenario. But overall, it looks like a colder solution once we get past along about February 6th or so. Here's a look at total accumulated precipitation. You can see greater than 1 inch amounts across Vermont, 1.5 amounts and up to the west of us, mostly associated probably with lake effect in those areas, Tug Hill Plateau, western Adirondacks. The main area, though, of the heaviest precipitation, of course, is going to be out west, the Sierra Nevada, up and down coastal mountains of Northern California, and into the Pacific Northwest. Okay, let's change to temperature. So, interestingly, colder than normal out west. What a change. Warmer than normal in the east. And this is weighted average temperatures, max temperatures for the next 5 days. But about 3 days later, boom. You can see we're talking above normal here, and that's the reason why we're looking at some rain. Cold weather penetrates, makes a little bit further inroads. And this is what's going to be happening eventually after this moves on by. Of course, after about the 6th of February. And looking at the dailies, this centered on Montpelier, Vermont, using the meteogram from Iowa State. Today's high temperature, basically in the around the 35-degree mark or so, and tonight's low, and so forth. Nothing of extreme in terms of temperature. No Arctic chills to worry about. Occasionally mild enough for a spell. We get into the 40s here on Sunday as well as Monday. Drop back down on Tuesday. Not shown here will be Wednesday. This will be off this chart into the 50s. I think that's where we're headed as they get a major warm surge with that major weather system wrapping around that area of low pressure, pushing in a lot warmer air. And looking at the GFS centered on Burlington, you can see a warm up here, this being the 0-degree line right here. So anything above that will be in the form of rain, below that snow. And you can see we have a couple shots. Again, this would be over the weekend. Cools down on that Tuesday next week, and then warms right back up again. In terms of precipitation, looking at the total amount, again centered on Burlington, you can see this black line, the mean, after the 3rd to the 4th of February. That's the main action there with that next weather system. Otherwise, everything's less than 0.2 of an inch and pretty much minutia. That's it from here. And a quick look at total snowfall in the last 7 days. Not a whole lot to show you. And in terms of snow depth, you can see the snow depths a little bit more in the Northeast Kingdom, the Standard Mountain Range doing well, some parts of the Orange Highlands, and Champlain Valley losing a lot of snow. We saw that in the Med River Valley. Snow's going by the wayside. We're going to add a couple of inches over time, but just incrementally, and then it all gets wasted away by warming weather. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights.